Okay, good morning, guys. It is day one of this challenge. So welcome. Good morning. It's early, getting ready for work now. My kids are downstairs watching Frozen while I get ready really quick. But anyway, today's day one of the challenge, my 30-day challenge. And this is going to be your daily nutrition nugget. Today I wanted to talk about briefly lab-grown meat. Lab-grown meat. Have you ever heard of that? I know it's something that in my master's program we talked about briefly, or actually I think I did, I just did a research paper on it. So it was an interesting topic. So anyway, while I'm just discussing some of these things, I'm gonna actually just get ready at the same time, kind of kill two birds with one stone. So, but basically, we eat, as Americans, we eat a ton of meat. Apparently we eat like 220 pounds or something per year. That's like per person in the United States. That is a crap ton of meat. And so because of that, there's been certainly like a push for meat alternatives and other ways of kind of making sure we can fulfill that craving of meat, because a lot of people obviously love meat in all different forms, right? So anyway, there is like a lot of beliefs out there, commonly held beliefs, that the meat industry causes a lot of issues out there, like climate change, overuse of like our water and land resources, pollution, deforestation, and there's also, of course, issues surrounding animal welfare. So there's a lot of issues out there that surround the meat industry and how we get our meat. And so, of course, with the onset of science and everything and the food industry, lab-grown meat has been offered and come to the table. And there's other ways to describe it. It's also called cultured meat or in vitro meat, which sounds really appetizing, right? Something I want to eat. I don't know. But basically, lab-grown meat is created by harvesting like animal tissue or muscle tissue cells from live animals, and they're basically placed in like a bioreactor, I guess, and it basically allows the cells to grow and proliferate on their own, and eventually that tissue grows into muscle strands, which are actual real muscle tissue that I guess we could consume. That's the idea behind it. And actually, believe it or not, one tissue sample from a live animal, from a cow, can actually produce 800 strands of muscle tissue, and that actually equates to about 80,000 quarter-pounder hamburgers, apparently. That's crazy. That's a lot of meat. So that is lab-grown meat for you. So hold on here, I gotta kind of go back and forth. Let me get my next little makeup component here, figure out what I'm doing. I think I'm gonna put on a little bit of eyeshadow today. But anyway, so the idea too behind lab-grown meat is that it's gonna be more sustainable, sustainable for our environment, reduce the unethical treatment of animals and animal cruelty. It's going to obviously reduce that, because if you're just using one, like a cow for example, and you're just plucking some of the cells from their body, it's not obviously like killing them. So that's a plus. It also would potentially help reduce like food waste, because like I said, you're not using the whole animal carcass. Like there's not going to be like bones wasted and other tissues from that animal that are going to be wasted. And then another thought is that it might potentially be more like a safer safer from a biological standpoint. So like reducing potentially like not foodborne illness, but along the food production system line, there's always a chance for contamination from bacteria and other contaminants, right? So hopefully growing meat in a lab would help reduce some of that issue. And then another thing too, I think another major point by these producers, potential producers of lab-grown meat, is that you can actually yield more protein, like per tissue sample. So it's really all that. I mean, that's great, right? So those are definitely things that should be considered because of our animal production system and food production system in general. I mean, there's a lot surrounding that. I mean, there's arguments on both sides that it's really bad for the environment and it's causing, all the greenhouse gases. And then on the other hand, there's benefit to having, cows out there and animals out there in nature because it actually helps the environment. And believe it or not, I guess like growing different crops and different vegetation out there, we need animals to consume that stuff so other things can grow and that type of thing. So I'm not a super expert on the topic, but there are a few different companies out there that are producing or in the works of producing lab-grown meat. And I think, if I remember, like a few of them wanted to get that out the end of last year, 2019. So I don't know if there is lab-grown meat out there right now. I'm curious to know if there is. So I don't know if it's actually hit the shelves. I don't think it has. I know there's other meat alternatives out there. And like Horn, that's one brand. Beyond Meat, that's another. So those are all like meat alternatives. They're not lab-grown meat. So they're made from other like vegan or vegetarian sources. So there's no meat included. But there's New Age Meats, Finless Foods, and Memphis Meats. Those are 3 companies that are in the works of producing lab-grown meat. So it's really interesting. But there are a few things to think about with lab-grown meat. There's the cost aspect of it. Like, is it something that is going to be cost effective? I'm guessing in the beginning, it'll probably be pretty expensive to produce this and pretty expensive to buy it. So really, there's definitely got to be some like consumer buy-in with it. People have to want the product. And then, like I said, it doesn't really sound too appetizing. Like thinking that you're consuming something, meat of all things, that is grown in a laboratory. Like that just is weird. But then it's like weird also to think about that we actually eat animals, like of course it's something I've grown up with. I eat meat, I eat venison. My dad, my brother, they hunt. So I kind of grew up like that, not on a farm or anything like that, but I eat meat. I grew up eating meat. And I didn't, think twice about it. But now that I'm older, and I have a brain to think, I've learned things, it is interesting to think, that we eat animals. And not only that, it's just like, and I know there's documentaries out there that talk about the realities behind the meat industry and the treatment of animals, and it's horrendous, some of the things I've seen. And when we think of it that way, that is just bizarre. Like our animal, they're treated so terribly, and then they're just lined up one after the other and just brutally murdered, and then put on a line, sent down the whole, it's just, you got to visually think of that, and it's disturbing in a way. So it's definitely something I think it's important that these companies, that they're investigating this, because, it would end some of that stuff. But you do got to think of both sides of it. Like, what are the repercussions if we, for the other side? So there's a lot to weigh. So cost is one thing. taste is the other, right? We want to make sure we want this product to taste good, like we're used to, what it tastes like. We want it to taste the same. So will it provide the same taste? Is it safer? Is it truly safer? So we've got to think of that. Is it safe for the mass population to consume lab-grown meat from various standpoints? And of course, you're going to get opposition from traditional meat facilities or meat producers. You're going to get pushback. So they're going to have their arguments against it as well. So you got to deal with that. I already mentioned consumer interest, so we got to make sure that consumers are on board with this. Sorry, this is like how I put on mascara, and it's, I haven't been wearing makeup a lot lately. Just don't have time, but I'm trying to take time this morning to do this. And then one thing that came to my mind was, is it going to be nutritionally adequate? Is it going to provide the same nutrients from, a standard cow, that's eating grass and eating from the environment? Is lab-grown meat going to provide the same nutrients? Because, of course, those animals are getting the nutrients from what they consume. So are they going to be able to reproduce those same nutrients in the lab? That's something to think about. And then, of course, lastly, is it sustainable? Is it a sustainable practice? Is it truly going to help the environment? Who knows what the amount of energy or whatever it takes to produce animals in the lab. But that's definitely all things that need to be considered. I'm probably missing some things there, but anyway, what do you guys think about lab-grown meat? Would you guys consume it? Would you try it? I know with the Memphis meats, and then Finless Foods and New Age Meats, so Finless Foods, they're doing fish. It's just, lab-grown fish. That's kind of weird, or fish product, or whatever you want to call it. So anyway, that's it for today. That's kind of what I wanted to touch on. Like I said, is this something that you would be adventurous in trying? What are your thoughts on the topic? Be curious to know what you guys think. So comments down below. I have a huge pet peeve with my eyelashes. They gotta be the same, like on both sides. I hate it when they're different. Anyway, enough of that. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Day 1 of the challenge. I don't know how I'm gonna keep going. 30 days, you guys. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's a lot. I have a few topics that I have in mind, but I have to come up with a lot more if I want to keep this going. So we'll see how this all turns out. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down below. I will leave it at that. And with that, it's Friday, so happy Friday. I hope you guys have an awesome day, end of the week, yay. So looking forward to any comments that you guys leave behind. And with that, I will leave you guys to it. All right, you guys take care. Have a great day. And I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. All right, bye.